Couple guys on the offensive side that came back that I don't know if I would say weren't expecting, but pleasantly surprised. Thayer Munford and Chris Olave. I guess a lot of us, and certainly me included, had just sort of expected that, okay, they're going to go to the NFL. Probably be first or second round picks and go start their professional careers. Surprising. I remember exactly where I was. I was in the Newark airport when the news broke that Munford and Olave were coming back. And I remember thinking wait, what? Whoa. Yeah. Huge. And, with Olave and the growth that we've heard from Garrett Wilson this year, I guess I'm really interested to see what the season looks like for those three guys in particular, because you talk about high floor, high ceiling. I mean, all three of those guys are first round NFL draft pick type talents, and have three of them on one offense is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd. This is a fascinating conversation, and I think it's made all the more interesting by what we saw with Shaun Wade last year, in the fact that Shaun Wade is probably like a fringe first round, second round pick coming into, going from 2 seasons ago and then into this past season, and comes back, has an unequivocally bad year. Now he changed positions. That's part of it. And costs himself money. Like unequivocally, right? Like every snap where he looked bad, that was like cha-ching coming out of like that proverbial money coming out of the bank account. And I that's something that I kind of wonder if guys notice and pay attention to, especially like the dudes who come back that were somewhat unexpected, who are on kind of those fringes of the first 2 rounds. When they come back, essentially they're coming back to improve draft stock and improve status and to be able to solidify that first round pick because of all of the, financial incentives that come from moving up, those like maybe 10 spots, going, from top 50 to top 40 or whatever. And he dropped twice that, right? And I wonder if the rest of the guys on that team who are kind of in that tier of players look at that and go like that's not going to be me, and because it was hard, it's frustrating to watch because you feel bad for him, right? And I think with Olave especially, who is a lock for a first round pick coming out of Ohio State last year. I think a lock first round wide receiver. Essentially what he's doing is he's coming back potentially to try and win a Heisman or something along those lines. And then you're guaranteed, probably top 10, top 15. That's like, to me, like that's even more surprising than like a guy like Shaun Wade who's on the fringes coming back. I was blown away that Chris Olave decided to stick around. Thayer Munford is another one who I thought was maybe not a lock for a first round pick, but he's certainly on the edges and is coming back to basically try and solidify that. And I think, that one maybe makes a little bit more sense to me. I think I could be kind of talked into that a little bit, but the Olave news was unbelievable. I was like set flat footed with it. And so for me, like, to be totally honest, the only thing I want to see from those guys on kind of a performance level is don't get hurt.
Sure.
Like don't get hurt. Like that's like when they're in a position that they're in now, like that, like it's almost like heart and throat moments a little bit for me, thinking about what they are kind of putting on the line by coming back as opposed to jumping ahead. And I respect, like, guys like playing college football, guys like being in college. They, and I think that those are all admirable things. In fact, I kind of wish we would see a little bit more of that in college basketball, right? Like, but the it's a little bit terrifying for me in some regards to watch these guys go out there and essentially putting $20 million on the line, right?
Well, I think essentially these guys come back because they don't want to end their career on a real gut punch last January.
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
They're here to try to win the national title,
and I think that's something that 10 plus years ago, we probably aren't looking at this and having the conversation in this tone going like, wow, I can't believe that guy came back, because I think, didn't go. Cause I think that was a lot more common where guys were like, I'm going to stay at least 3, maybe my full allotment of eligibility. That was a lot more common than dudes jumping now. So I don't know. I think the sky is the limit for Chris Olave, especially. Obviously, he doesn't have a dude delivering the football, from an arm talent standpoint, like he's had, in his time at Ohio State, both with Dwayne and Justin Fields. But in a lot of ways, I actually think that means that this year is a year where he could really show that elite talent, right? It was like, well, I don't have maybe an elite passer at quarterback, and I still went out and did X, Y, and Z and didn't necessarily show any drop off. And I think for Thayer, it's like a change of position, right? Like showing NFL teams and scouts like not only was I an elite tackle, but I can be an elite guard in the NFL, and that versatility. As from an offensive line standpoint, outside of being like an out and out like tier 1 left tackle, if you can be a guy that's versatile and play a couple of different spots, that's the next most valuable thing that an offensive lineman can showcase as far as NFL ability is concerned.
I totally agree, and I'm not surprised that both these guys, and Chris and Thayer, were named captains this year. I think Thayer is I don't know if it's more than Chris, but he has some leadership traits and characteristics that are really, really attractive to next level coaches, but also to his current coaching staff because they trust him like crazy. His teammates trust him. I think there is a high probability Thayer goes out and has a great season, even with a position switch. I expect big things from him. I think you're going to see some cool stuff from Thayer.